Chicagoland Sports Radio Sports Update.
At 7 o'clock, I'm Jay Turner with your ChicagolandSportsRadio.com update brought to you by the Illinois Media School. For more information on careers in broadcasting, go to BeOnAir.com. Bulls are on another winning streak after winning their second straight game, knocking off the Orlando Magic 100-92. Dwayne Wade had 21 points and Jimmy Butler with 20 as well. Bulls are about to tip off at the United Center as the Atlanta Hawks are welcomed in for the evening. The Bulls are 23-23. Blackhawks are hanging on tight with a second spot in the Western Conference within the Central. However, the Tampa Bay Lightning hammered them 5-2, ending their three-game winning streak on Tuesday. Jonathan Tace and Duncan Keith each had a goal apiece. Next up is the Jets Thursday at 7:30 at the United Center. Another play-by-play legend is calling it a career at the end of the month. 77-year-old Brent Musburger is moving on. He was part of many historical sporting events with CBS, ABC Sports, and ESPN, including many college football bowl championship series games. Musburger's last broadcast is January 31st with Kentucky and Georgia. Men's basketball at Rupp Arena on ESPN will be his last game. Bears fans, listen up. Clemson head coach Dabo Swinney is telling NFL teams what happens if they pass on Deshaun Watson. At the first day of Senior Bowl practices, Swinney said, and I quote, "I'm just telling you, if they pass on Deshaun Watson, they're passing on Michael Jordan." Okay. Watson declined an invitation to the Senior Bowl, so we'll have to wait till the NFL Draft on Thursday, April 27th. This update is also brought to you by the Windy City Bulls. The next home game broadcast will be on SportsTownChicago.com January 27th when the Bulls take on the Fort Wayne Mad Ants at 7 p.m. Tickets start at just $10. Visit WindyCityBulls.com for more details. I'm Jay Turner, and you're listening to ChicagolandSportsRadio.com update. It's not just sports, it's a way of life.
Live from State Street, deep in the heart of downtown Chicago, it's Turner ChiTown on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. So take the exit to the best sports take with the biggest guest and the wittiest banner in the city of Chicago. And now, laced with 24/7 passion, here's Jake Turner and Al Mack.
Oh, you're dang right it is. This is Turner ChiTown on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. I'm Jay Turner alongside my partner in crime, the next James Earl Jones, of course, Al Mack. Get on the line right now, 773-966-2494. We are your primetime entertainment here on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. Al Mack, how you doing tonight?
Okay, Jake, how are you today?
Oh, I'm feeling good right now. You know, we got the Bulls and the Hawks about to tip off here tonight, so that's going to be interesting. The Bulls are on a 2-game winning streak, so we'll find out with that. But we got a jam-packed show for you. Laundry list of topics, including we're going to get into what Dabo Swinney said about Deshaun Watson and why it's a big deal here in Chicago. The unfortunate thing that is the Pro Bowl that is coming up, and why I'm more excited for the skills competition than I am the Pro Bowl football game as a whole. And then we're also going to get into our best and worst boxing films. We had such a great upstanding when it came to doing the best and worst sports movies, so we thought it would dive in here, get a little more in depth, and do some boxing here, especially when Al Mack and me have that in common as well. We'll be getting into that as also. And then we got a special treat for you because Super Bowl week is next week, and we got a pre-Super Bowl treat for you. Brian Noe of Broussard and Noe from Fox Sports Radio, Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, will be joining us here at 8:40. So it's going to be a great show here. And Al, we were talking about this before getting on the show. You know, some big news came in this morning. Deshaun Watson and Dabo Swinney. Now, Dabo Swinney is the championship coach who won the national championship this year. Deshaun Watson was his quarterback. Looked really good. And as you were saying, 6'3", 203 pounds. But, and once again, this is getting old, okay? Because I am sick and tired of this Chicago icon being compared to every waking detail that happens in sports. This is what Dabo Swinney said about Deshaun Watson at the Senior Bowl practices today. Quote, I'm just telling you, if they pass on Deshaun Watson, they're passing on Michael Jordan.
Wow.
Really? Really? Are you kidding? Michael Jordan? I mean, it's bad enough that we had to deal with those stupid Jordan-LeBron James comparisons. And then, we hear the media elite talking about Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers being Jordan-esque. It's such a lazy, pathetic excuse of a take. Seriously, we don't have soft-serve takes here. I'm not Max Kellerman, all right? We don't have soft-serve takes here on Turner ChiTown. 773-966-2494. But, Al, I mean, the Bears, they got the third pick in the draft coming up. Do you really see the Bears going after Deshaun Watson or the next Michael Jordan?
Well, if you look at the Bears from the past, I don't see them going after him. However, they need to make a change. They need to change their ways. I think it would be an aggressive, possibly productive approach to the new Bears, and that's what they're going to have to be to win.
Yeah, but we go right back to this once again. I mean, you're about to get rid of Jay Cutler, okay? So that money is gone. It's over. The Jay Cutler era is going to be over with, okay? But you're trying to tell me right now that you want a guy who has 30 interceptions in 2 years, that has no pocket presence, that throws a good deep ball, but his mechanics on the short passing routes are net. Because the problem is that it's not a pro-style offense. Now, the offensive line did get better for the Bears this year, so that's good. He has good scrambling ability. However, I see a lot of this guy, Robert Griffin III, because of the scrambling ability and how he's so amazing with the football. You know what I saw? I saw a good college quarterback that has a lot of work to do in order to be a success in the NFL. That's just my take. 773-966-2494. Get on the line right now. Do you believe that Deshaun Watson is going to be a Chicago Bear come April 27th? You know something? I don't understand it. I don't know why they would even try it, but it feels like a Bears move. But, I mean, I think it's just more on the idea because the Browns and the Bears are the coaching staffs for the North and the South for the Senior Bowl coming up here this week. So I understand this, and I do believe that this could be an okay move. However, I don't buy it. I mean, you're trying to get a franchise quarterback, and Deshaun Watson does not scream franchise quarterback to me. Because in the NFL, you have to have many facets of talent. You have to be good on the short passing routes. You have to be able to throw a screen from out of the pocket, in the pocket. You have to find option passes. You have to get the quick slant down. You have to be able to use flag patterns, post routes. And that is something that I definitely don't see. Those sideline passes, I remember those against Alabama. They were lousy. That was because he had Mike Williams who was making some acrobatic catches. And I just don't believe it. And like I said, this comparison with Michael Jordan over and over, it's lazy, it's pathetic, it's a joke. Because, seriously, every time I hear that MJ LeBron thing, I'm just sick to my stomach. Because you know something? LeBron is a winner, and I get it. Okay, he has won in Miami, he has won at Cleveland. I get it. He's also lost, though. Jordan has never lost. Now, when they brought up Aaron Rodgers and Michael Jordan, I just kept sitting there, and I'm like, but he's only won one Super Bowl ring. I mean, Al, am I wrong on this? I mean, the Michael Jordan thing it's got to stop. The comparison has got to stop.
Oh, yeah, you can't compare people to Michael Jordan. I mean, he's proven superstar champion. However, looking at it at this the other side of it.
Okay, the other side. All right.
If you're even compared with him, that shows that you are something. Aaron Rodgers, he's been compared to him. He's certainly something. And
absolutely.
And so is LeBron James. So
his technical skills.
For you to get in that conversation of
yes.
Michael Jordan,
right.
There's got to be something there. Now, right now at the Bears, we have nothing there, okay?
I would say reach out, get this guy, and see what he can do. Because you're never going to come in NFL ready in college ball because it's not played the same.
No, there's not many pro-style offenses out there. I mean, the only one I could think of right now is University of Washington. I think that's a good example.
Right.
773-966-2494. Get on the line right now. Don't forget, Brian Noe of Broussard and Noe on Fox Sports Radio will be joining us at 8:40. We're going to be talking some Super Bowl. And with that, we talk about the NFL draft coming up here, the Pro Bowl. Oy. Yes, that Pro Bowl's coming up. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. But, I mean, in your opinion I guess we could say this, with the NFL as a whole, what did you think of the championship games?
Well, my team
Your
won.
team.
My team
Okay,
won.
yes,
Okay.
all right, folks.
So-
Let me just stop this for 1 second. Ladies and gentlemen, Al Mack got the Falcons over the Packers, so let's give him his round of applause.
Yeah.
What are you applauding yourself for?
Well, I want to
My
make it
goodness,
sound like
how
it's a lot of
egotistical
people.
are you? You did get the Steelers wrong.
Yeah, I got them wrong.
Yeah, that's
Just
right. That's right,
rub it in,
James
Jay.
Earl. Come on now.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Your Packers went down the way I said they would.
My
Exactly
Packers
verbatim.
went down
the way I
in
said they
a
would.
burst of flames,
Oh,
but
yeah,
you know
big
what?
time.
I'm happy that they got as far as they got with that inept defense.
Oh, yeah.
And there's going to be some change happening here coming up.
Well, they showed me something. I didn't know that
don't give up.
Aaron Rodgers could run that fast running from a defense.
Yeah, no kidding. He's pretty quick.
Yeah, he's fast.
Yeah, he's quick. I mean, the problem is that offense didn't get started until the third quarter, and
Right.
you're just sitting there. You're like, this game is over. It's over.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Ladarius Gunter, and I'll bring up a good point here. A good friend of mine from NCSA, next college student athlete here in Chicago, he put up a Facebook post about Ladarius Gunter. All right, and he had a 4.7 in his 40-yard dash. Now, my good friend was on the Packers practice squad. He ran a 4.7 at 280 pounds. Now, I understand we want to bring up the word serviceable, but you're dreaming. He was Terrell Buckley 2.0. He was a pin cushion for Julio Jones, for Dez Bryant, and I get it. Why is he the one that is defending all these great wide receivers, you ask? Because he has no choice. They didn't have Sam Shields, and he was stuck in this. Now, I will say, if they cut him, I won't be too terribly depressed. But, I mean, I think you could keep him for depth. But as a starter, he's not even close to that yet. And once again, that inept offense for the Packers defense was clearly shown. We're going to be talking more about the NFL championship games, getting into the status of the NFL, why Roger Goodell should have been in New England. There's so much to get into here. And the Bulls and the Hawks have tipped off right now. It's 7-3. So the Bulls are trying to get to 3 straight wins. They are on a 2-game winning streak right now. As James Gammon from Major League 2 used to say, that's what we call a winning streak. We're going to have a lot of fun here today on Turner's ChiTown. 773-966-2494. Coming up, I'm going to tell you why Rocky is not the greatest boxing film ever. So much more to get to here. We're just getting warmed up. This is Turner's ChiTown on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com.
Like web design, you can even specialize.
Tired of all that coffee shop sports talk? No problem, because you're tuned in to the best sports take in Chicago. Let's rejoin the passionate Jay Turner and Al Mack on ChicagoSportsRadio.com.
You couldn't be more right. We're back here on Turner's ChiTown, 773-966-2494. We're your primetime entertainment here on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. I'm Jake Turner, alongside my partner in crime, the next James Earl Jones in training. That is, of course, Al Mack. And Al, I also understand you are a singer, and you have something happening here coming up on Friday for the next game for UI. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, UIC Flames are going to be singing for Military Night at the UIC Flames basketball game, and I'll be there at 7 p.m., and my pipes will be ready to sing our national anthem.
Without question, and that's great to know here. Military Night, I'm going to be at that as well on Friday night. 773-966-2494. Al, something big is happening here in Chicago, and it's not, the Deshaun Watson news. It's nothing like that, but the Chicago Cubs next month are going to be having the pitchers and catchers coming in. Spring training is around the corner. Can't wait. I'm not going to lie to you. February, I love it how people say it's like the dog days of sports broadcasting. No. It's just a test to show if you can keep yourself motivated throughout this time. That's what I look at it. And we got 24/7 passion here every Wednesday on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com with, of course, Turner's ChiTown. And I was fired up when I got my tweet on Monday night from Patrick Mooney of CSN Chicago when he reported that Brett Anderson is coming to the Chicago Cubs. Now, the funniest thing is, and I did a little digging, and I took a look at their depth chart. Are you ready for this? This is the depth chart for the Chicago Cubs right now. If it started today, the catcher would be Wilson Contreras. First base would be Anthony Rizzo. Second base would be Javier Baez or Ben Zobrist. Addison Russell at shortstop. Third base, Chris Bryant. Left field, Zobrist or Kyle Schwarber. Center field, Albert Almora Jr. or John Jay. And, of course, right field, Mr. Gold Glove himself, Jason Hayward. Now, here's where it gets really hot. The rotation is John Lester, Kyle Hendricks, Jake Arrieta, John Lackey, Mike Montgomery. Awesome. There's more. Bullpen. The closer has already been chosen to be Wade Davis. He is a phenomenal pitcher, especially as the closer. Did great stuff for the Royals. Not only that, they got Koji Yahara, who was very good for the Red Sox. And now they bring in Brett Anderson. And Brett Anderson, he came in on a discount. I mean, a one-year deal. I mean, he had some incentives here, but it wasn't like something to break the bank or anything. But it was a one-year contract, $3.5 million, with incentives that could pay up to $10 million. Think about that right now for Brett Anderson. Now, keep this in mind also. I love this tweet here. He put this up. He said, "Wheels up to Chicago. I bet it's cold there." Gee, you think? Sorry that this is not like the Dodgers anymore. But let's keep this in mind that, with 31 starts for the Dodgers, he had a 3.69 ERA. He is 38-43, but he had his best times with the Oakland Athletics and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, the big question is, can he stay healthy? But with all of this talent now coming into Chicago, you got to be excited if you're a Cubs fan right now to have a possible repeat at the World Series. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, you got to be excited if you're a Cub fan. They're, to me, like the Golden State Warriors of baseball.
I like that comparison. There you go. That's a comparison.
I mean, they're beefing it up, man. Can
Yes,
you
they
imagine
are.
the Cubs with a beefed-up pitching staff? Come on. If they're better than they were
compared to
last
year.
Wow.
Oh, boy. Compared to last year. And, with the problems with Jason Hamill at the 4 spot, and there was issues with the 5 spot. But still, Lackey got hurt at times there as well. But they have really bulked this up, and I really love the way that Theo Epstein is doing this. Not breaking the bank. There has been no big contracts this year. No Jason Hayward-style contracts. It's like they broke the bank with one guy, now they're like, we're done. We're done. We're going to bring in one-year contracts, and we'll see what they'll do after that. Because keep this in mind, Jake Arrieta, he is going to have a new deal next year if he wants to stay as a Chicago Cub. 773-966-2494. Let's get you caught up on a little score update here with the Hawks and the Bulls. They're right now with 3:25 to go in the first quarter. The Bulls have a 21-18 lead. So, okay, not too bad. Keep this in mind, also the Hawks are without Kyle Korver, who is now a Cleveland Cavalier. Did you hear about this, though, today? This has got to be one of the dumbest things I have heard since doing this show here on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. Okay, and I just don't understand it. And I don't know if I'm ever going to understand it. But I just don't understand it, and I apologize there. That was some, NFL footage. Whoops, sorry about that. But I don't understand this point here. The Cleveland Cavaliers and the New York Knicks tried to make a trade with Kevin Love and Carmelo Anthony. Hold the phone right here. Okay, I won't lie to you. I like that Carmelo Anthony is in New York because he's not anywhere near the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's a ball hog. He's a very good basketball player, but he is a ball hog, and he is a big issue, very inept in the playoffs. Every time he gets in the playoffs, he just falls apart. I mean, for that point of view, and then you're sitting there, and it wasn't the Knicks that denied this. No. It was the Cavaliers. The Cleveland Cavaliers said, nah, that's okay. We don't need that trade. Wow. Cavaliers going bold here and just saying, don't worry about it. We don't need him. And I agree, because here's the funny thing. Remember, he signed a big money contract for $127 million. Now, you don't think some of that dead money is going to come over to Cleveland? I highly doubt it. Or am I really telling the truth? Of course I'm telling the truth here on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. We don't lie here. We don't lie.
RAV4 with available all-wheel drive.
And
Toyota. Let's go places.
It's the one thing that just doesn't get here. And sorry about that. A little Toyota commercial came up. I have no clue why. But just trying to get things ready here for the 9 o'clock hour. Don't forget, Brian Noe will be joining us at 8:40 here for Broussard and Noe on Fox Sports Radio on Saturdays at 8 p.m. That bearing in mind, Al's feeling a little itchy here because he's excited. Because he's about to give his first Chicagoland Sports Radio update of the night. Take it away, Al Mack.
Chicagoland Sports Radio Sports Update.
At 7:30, I'm Al Mack with your ChicagolandSportsRadio.com update, brought to you by the Illinois Media School. For more information on careers in broadcasting, go to BeOnAir.com. Well, the Chicago Bulls are playing the Atlanta Hawks right now, and the score is about at the beginning or the end of the first period. We're at 23 Chicago and 22 Atlanta. Well, the Chicago Blackhawks are hanging on tight with the second spot in the Western Conference within the Central Division. However, the Tampa Bay Lightning hammered them 5-2 yesterday, ending their 3-game win streak. Jonathan Toews and Duncan Keith each had a goal. Next up are the Jets Thursday night at 7:30 at the United Center. Brent Musburger, another play-by-play legend, is calling it a career at the end of the month. The 77-year-old Brent Musburger is moving on. He was part of many historical sports events with CBS and ABC and ESPN, including many college football BCS games. Musburger's last broadcast is January 31st with Kentucky and Georgia men's basketball at Rupp Arena on ESPN. Bears fans, listen up. Clemson head coach Dabo Swinney is telling the NFL teams what happens if they pass on Deshaun Watson. At the first day of the Senior Bowl practices, Swinney said, I'm telling you, if they pass on Deshaun Watson, they're passing on Michael Jordan. Okay? Watson declined an invitation to the Senior Bowl. The NFL Draft is on Thursday, April 27. This update is also brought to you by UIC Men's Basketball. The next broadcast on CSR will be on January 27th when the Flames take on the Northern Kentucky at 7 p.m. For more details, visit uicflames.com. I'm Al Mack, and you're listening to ChicagolandSportsRadio.com.
It's not just sports, it's a way of life.
I could listen to Sweet Home Chicago, I think, every single day of my life. I could make it my alarm clock. We're back here on Turner ChiTown, 773-966-2494 with you till 10 p.m. 3 hours of amazing sports conversation here on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. I'm Jake Turner, and of course we got the main man, the next James Earl Jones. I think he's going to play Darth Vader someday. Al Mack himself here. And like we said, we got a nice little update here for you Bulls fans. It is 29-22. Bulls on top right now by 7. So we'll see what they're doing right now. Jimmy Butler, a big star right now, 11 points, and Dwayne Wade with 9. So they're off to a good start here. We'll see if they can continue here. We've seen a lot of inconsistency with the Bulls this year. And going back to this for a moment, I still can't get over Deshaun Watson being now known as Michael Jordan when he has done nothing. Zip, nada, zilch. And he's being compared to Michael Jordan. What in the hell is happening here in this sports world? I swear to you, they wake up in the morning, they take out a deck of cards, and they go, okay, now I'm going to close my eyes, and I'm going to pick one, and the comparison today is Deshaun Watson to Michael Jordan. Okay, I can make that happen. See, it's like a spin cycle. It's like the most demented dryer I have ever witnessed when it comes to sports. I can't stand that. In fact, you know something else I can't stand coming up? I'm going to tell you why the NFL is still too soft off the field. You won't believe our take here coming up. This is Turner ChiTown on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. Okay. We're back here on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. It's Turner ChiTown, 773-966-2494. I love surprising you, Al. I really do. It's like one of my favorite things to do is surprising you with some good music. But, I mean, it's just with the comparison we've had with Michael Jordan. I mean, he was at Space Jam. You know, he was with Bugs Bunny, I guess you want to call it. But that was such a great soundtrack when I was a kid. I love that soundtrack, and I don't care if we keep playing that over and over again. We got to have a little sing-along, a little fun here. And that bearing in mind, you can also you can find me on Twitter at Jake Turner Show. You can Instagram me at Jake Turner61. You can find Al and me on Facebook, or you can go to www.facebook.com/Mr. Turner's Sports. Brian Noe of Broussard and Noe is going to be joining us at 8:40 p.m. tonight to be talking some serious football because we're going to get into that. But, Al, I want to talk about, you know, the season that is the NFL this year has been a bust, in my opinion. Too many bad teams, horrendous refereeing. But I am sick and tired of the players getting free passes here. Did you see what happened with Adam Pac-Man Jones of the Cincinnati Bengals?
No, I didn't see that.
Oh, my goodness. So he got arrested a couple nights ago for disorderly conduct, resisting arrest, So they put him in the back of the police car. And according to the Cincinnati Enquirer, he said, and I quote, "I hope you die." That's what he told the cop. This was on their this was recorded in the car, because that's what they do with every police report, is that if it gets sound in the car, they have something to prove why this happened. So it was all being taped, and he said, "I hope you die." He called them numerous times the B word, and then he told them, and I'm just going to say one word, suck. And the rest just goes on and on. And you know something? The Cincinnati Bengals have done nothing. And head coach Marvin Lewis, my God, is this guy dense, is hoping for a contract extension. And it's not just Pac-Man Jones that gets on my nerves. It is what Antonio Brown said after the game, that he told Ben Roethlisberger that he was angry because he didn't get the last touchdown. Womp, womp, womp. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers we're talking about. And what do these two teams have in common? They are completely letting the inmates run the asylum. And I just don't, why isn't Pac-Man Jones released? Why isn't he cut? Why isn't he in trouble? Why am I getting these belated apologies from his lawyers on Facebook saying that, he deeply regrets it? Shut up! You want to know something, lawyers? You want to know something? This is exactly what this punk does every single time. He has done this not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, not 5 times, but 6 times. And he does it on the field and off the field. You remember when Pac-Man Jones decided to rip off the helmet of Amari Cooper and slam his head into the Raider helmet? How about that one? How about when he pretty much made it rain at strip clubs? No? I got more for you. How about a guy who got called for a 15-yard pass interference penalty that cost the Bengals the game? And then Vontaze Burfict. Oh, God, Mr. Clean. Yeah, right. Decided to tweet out something wrong about the Steelers, even though they're at home. They're sitting in their couches. They're watching the flat screen TVs. They're having their nachos and everything and drinking their drinks and whatever. Bringing over the women that they want to bring over, whatever. You are pretty much looking like armchair football players when you're tweeting out something stupid like that. But I am so sick and tired of the soft serve, pillowy soft garbage that the NFL continues to let these players get away with. Why is the Pac-Man Jones suspended? Why isn't he cut? How many more chances are you going to give this guy? He's not even a good football player. He's an okay football player. In case you forget, the guy can't save the deep ball. He's just like Terrence Newman. And it's just this kind of stuff with Antonio Brown, Vontaze Burfict, and Ben Roethlisberger coming out that he might retire. Gee, you wonder why. Maybe it's because you let the inmates run the asylum. But Al, I know you're just letting this soak in right now, but what do you think right now? Why aren't the Steelers doing more? I've seen the Bears do more.
Well, it's the way you enforce it. If you're the coach, you almost run the show there. If you enforce discipline, it's going to happen. If you don't, then it's not. And it's no more than what's on the coach's shoulder. If you got to blame somebody, you got to blame the coach. He's the guy that's supposed to enforce those kind of things, and if he's not doing it, the owner's definitely going to take his end of it. He's going to take his side. Hey, if you want this guy off, he's off. If not, it's all on you, coach.
Then do it, because he has incidents going all the way back to 2005. He has... Sorry about that, I'm counting. Good Lord, this is ridiculous. He has over 10 problems alone. In 2005, 2 weeks before training camp he is scheduled to begin, Jones is arrested by Nashville police at Titans headquarters. In February 6 of 2006, he is charged with possession of marijuana. He is arrested after throwing a punch at an officer. The drug charge was dismissed in 2007. Next, he is one of 12 people gathered at a gas station where a fight breaks out and gunshots are fired. They labeled him as a witness. Okay. In August 25th, disorderly conduct and public intoxication. October 26th, he is cited for misdemeanor assault at Club Mystic. The Titans had enough, and they got rid of him. And then he goes to the Bengals. And he just continues right where he left off. This time, he decides, surrenders to Las Vegas police for his role in the mixed melee 4 months earlier. He's released on $20,000 bail. I just don't get it. So he pleads no contest. He's traded to the Dallas Cowboys. They got rid of him. He didn't make it a year. I think he only made it like about 6 months. Do you see what's going on here? This kind of nonsense on and off the field. And I just love it how everybody forgets about Le'Veon Bell. Do we not forget how many times this guy's been arrested and suspended? It's this kind of nonsense that continues to rack my brains. I get it and I'll bring up a good example here. Michael Floyd. Michael Floyd was caught with a DUI in Arizona. Cut. Cardinals said, no, you're done. Patriots pick him up. Okay, now he's Mr. Clean. Get it. Okay, now if he got busted again as a Patriot, he'd be gone. So he had to go spend time in jail. Because he had to go spend time in jail just a couple of days ago. And I'm not just trying to say Adam Pac-Man-Jones. I'm just trying to bring up an example here. How many chances can we give football players? How many more does it take? Honestly. Because I don't see what it... this is the thing I have a problem with. Is that they don't take responsibility. Because the coach doesn't take responsibility. The owner is not doing anything. Why isn't Mike Brown doing anything? Why is it the Rooneys saying something to Antonio Brown saying, look, you need to cut this garbage out. We just lost in the championship and you're whining about because you didn't get a touchdown? What are you, Mike Wallace? That was one of the reasons they got rid of Mike Wallace, because the guy wanted too much money and he was all about one guy. Himself. How much more? 773-966-2494. Let me ask you this, Al. I remember when I started doing this show, the criminal records for the Chicago Bears. Now, in the last couple of years, since Ryan Pace and John Fox took over, have there been any issues? And if there were issues, were they taken care of? Were they suspended? Were they cut? The answer is yes. What are you thinking about with your Bears? What would happen if the Bears did this now?
Well, the Bears are a different animal, man. I mean, they don't have – they're not a winning franchise.
Right. But the Bengals aren't either.
Yeah, but, I mean, the Bears – I just can't compare them to any other team. What they do, to me, as far as football goes, it has no substance. I don't even like what the Bears are doing with their team that when it doesn't cause any problems. So by them getting away, look, they went out and got Brandon Marshall. He was okay. So what if they're gonna? You can't use them as an example because they do more bad things. And But that was underneath Phil Emery and Jerry Angelo.
Okay. If you remember Ryan Pace, one of the first things he did was he traded Brandon Marshall.
Right,
so it's different right now in Chicago. And there were guys who were busted for PEDs and drug possession. 4 games. Guess what? They're not out of the woods yet. But the Bears at least took responsibility and said, you're suspended for 4 games. There will be no appeal. You have to just sit him out. Same with Alshon Jeffrey. Did we see Jeffrey play? Did we see him play at all after he got suspended for those 4 games? No.
No.
He did not. 773-966-2494. I'm getting tired of Roger Goodell and DeMaurice Smith. I mean, even DeMaurice Smith even came out today, and he wants to have less punitive damages with marijuana use. Look, I'm fine with that, but you guys have created your own disaster with that, okay? Because that's your employer. If you get busted for marijuana, you get in trouble for it. You get drug tested for it. So what are you trying to prove? Are you trying to get away from that to the point where they can take it in recreation? Because if you are, you better find some rules, because they shouldn't be doing it on game day. They shouldn't be doing it on the bus on the way to the stadium. I mean, what kind of message are you sending? I understand that marijuana is illegal in certain states, but guess what? In the NFL, it's not. It's banned. So why is DeMaurice Smith making this priority number one? Wake up! Holy mackerel! You are pretty much like the poster boy for the idiot of the year. Because you're the fool that let Roger Goodell take all the power away from the NFL Players Association. Now you're pretty much like a little kid who's trying to get his milk carton open. Excuse me, Roger, could you open this for me, please? And he'll look down at you and go, fine, there, now go away. Because that's the problem right there. Now the NFL should just say to the NFLPA, laugh them out of the room, and now take care of business. The refereeing has been awful this year. I mean, atrocious. Dean Blandino should be out of a job. But they also, I mean, you're talking about less punitive, damages for this. To hell with that. You need to heighten them. You need to give these football players the opportunity to wake up and stop thinking about themselves. And have coaches in there that are actually taking care of business. You don't see John Fox. You don't see Gary Kubiak, who's now gone. You don't see Vance Joseph taking care of this. You don't see Pete Carroll. And if you do, they get in trouble for it. You don't see the Packers. You don't see anybody else doing this except for the Steelers and the Bengals. And I can't believe the Steelers are in that conversation. Wow. Good first hour here so far. Brian Noe is going to be joining us at 8:40. We're also going to be dissecting into boxing films, our best and worst. That's coming up as well. And yes, we are going to get into the Pro Bowl. Unfortunately. But like Deshaun Watson, we're going to be just like Michael Jordan. We're going to come back here full of vinegar, full of energy here, because it's Turner ChiTown on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com.
You've been listening to Turner's ChiTown, the best sports take in Chicago, on ChicagoSportsRadio.com.
With the
Live from State Street, deep in the heart of downtown Chicago, it's Turner ChiTown on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. So take the exit to the best sports take with the biggest guest and the wittiest banner in the city of Chicago. And now, laced with 24/7 passion, here's Jake Turner and Al Mack.
Second hour here on Turner ChiTown, 773-966-2494. Here on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. This is Turner ChiTown, and he's Al Mack. I'm Jake Turner. Hope you're all enjoying your evening here. We are your primetime entertainment right here, right now. And we had an excellent first hour, talked a little Cubs. We dissected a little bit into why the NFL is like soft serve ice cream right now with their players and why their off-the-field antics have got to stop. We also talked about why Deshaun Watson is not Michael Jordan. Can we stop the comparisons, please? I beg of you. I'm talking to you, media elite. I'm talking to you, sports fans. Enough is enough with that lazy, pathetic idea comparing every superstar to Michael Jordan. Jeez, enough is enough. Don't worry about that. In the next hour here, we're going to be talking our best and worst boxing films, and then we got Brian Noe, Broussard and Noe on Fox Sports Radio will be joining us at 8:40. We're also going to dissect into the Pro Bowl and why ESPN decided to get rid of another excellent staple of sports broadcasting, so we'll get into that as well. And with this now, Al, I got a little passionate here in the first hour, and I get that. But, I mean, the thoughts here are coming a mile a minute here. And right now the Bulls have pretty much a commanding lead right now, 59-51 at halftime. And I still have to say this. The Bulls are never going to get to the NBA Finals as long as John Paxson and Gar Forman, who is more in love with looking at his farmers-only dating profile than he is focusing on the team. Until this front office leaves, they are never going to get to the NBA Finals. Your thoughts?
I can't help but agree with you 150%.
150%. That's new. Okay.
Now, with that being said, Jake, I think the ownership has a lot to do with that as well. And I don't know if they'll ever get anywhere with the owner, with Reinsdorf being the owner. And I say that for this reason.
Okay.
Let's look at the San Antonio Spurs for a moment.
Yeah,
Just
go for
a
it.
moment.
Go for it.
They build relationships with their players that are giving them an incentive to want to stay with that team, and it makes it not about money so much. Let's just look at how many games, how many titles they've won. Out of the 40 years that they've been there, they've had 21 championship titles.
That's insane.
21 for their division titles. Now, they've made the playoffs 19 years in a row. Okay?
Yeah.
Now,
I'm listening.
They've done this with a core. They've done this with a core of players that just want to stay there. You got Ginobili. Right. You had Duncan. You had Tony Parker. Those are three players that could have easily went anywhere else if they hadn't been treated right, because they're not playing for the most money. And anybody would have wanted those three aboard their team.
Exactly.
The Bulls, however, they've got this stigma hanging over them of
stigma. It's more like It's like stigmata. Seriously,
stigmata.
It seriously is like stigmata with this team. It is so annoying watching this team sometimes. I mean, because, you get that 2-game winning streak, and it's great and all. Okay, but you got Dwayne Wade coming out and say, well, I don't know if I'm going to be playing basketball for much longer here, because this front office is doing nothing. And now they're shopping Rajon Rondo and Nikolai Mirotic. Yeah, that's a great plan. Let's trade Nikolai Mirotic, who has had a comeback year off the bench. You can get rid of Rondo if you want. That's your mess. That's your problem. Michael Carter-Williams, Jerry Grant, they'll step up. Why not? Because this is just exactly what we're talking about. And I tried to give Rajon Rondo the benefit of the doubt. I tried. I really did. But it's the same story with him everywhere he goes. And the Bulls were like, hey, you know what? You don't like Sacramento? Come on over to Chicago. Yeah, don't worry about that. We got 6 championships. We have the greatest basketball player of all time. But we want you to ruin chemistry with our team. And that's exactly what he has done. I just don't understand. I don't know why they continue doing this. I don't know why Reinsdorf continues to deal with Gar Forman and John Paxson. I just don't get it. 773-966-2494. Now, on the other side, though, let's be honest. The Cubs just continue to get stronger and stronger pitching-wise. Grabbing Brett Anderson, I thought was a great move. And we talked about this in the first hour. The Cubs are loaded. I mean, they are loaded with talent. It's ridiculous. They have signed no 2-year contracts to any player they have brought in. They signed a 1-year contract to Wade Davis, to John Jay, to Brett Anderson, to Koji Yahara. And you look at that right there. Because you talk about the San Antonio Spurs. You can also talk about the New England Patriots for the NFL. The Chicago Cubs. They are trying to use that blueprint to try and build up their team for many, many years to come. Now, let's be honest. I am never going to expect the Cubs to win every single year. I'm just not going to do that. But they're going to always be close, or they're going to win one. With this team, They should win at least 2 or 3 more, at least. And I know I'm getting a little too carried away. I get it. Okay, but that's what we do here at ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. We bring out the passion, 24/7 passion. You know that. I mean, come on, man. You understand? You understand what I'm like in bed? Seriously, I'm pretty much like yelling out Bulls, Cubs, White Sox all the time. No, I'm just kidding. Otherwise, I'd be like in a mental asylum right now. Seriously, my goodness.
Well, Jake, with that in mind, the mental asylum. Okay,
mental asylum.
What happens if the Cubs don't produce this year?
Define not produced. Because I feel like if they get to the playoffs, they get deep into the playoffs, like I'm talking like NLCS, I think that's a good year.
Okay. What if they don't get to the playoffs?
Oh, that's a big misfire. And that's definitely on the shoulders of Theo Epstein and Jed Hoyer. Okay. But, I mean, you can't. I mean, you're a defending champion, and you won your division, and you won the World Series. I mean, you went right through it, and you took down the Indians in 7 games, and it took extra innings. And you have all this great talent. There is no excuse for the Chicago Cubs to miss the playoffs, and I don't think they're going to. I will say this, though. I think the team that's going to take a step back is the Washington Nationals. And a team that I would definitely be watching out for, and I know people are thinking I'm insane, but guess who just got Greg Holland today? Wow. The Colorado Rockies. So the Rockies have given contracts to Nolan Arenado. They bring in Bud Black as their manager. They got solid pitching already. And then they bring in a closer who was actually dynamite for the Royals before he had Tommy John surgery. Now, that's only one Tommy John surgery. So it's not like he's had it like every single year. Right. But he took his time getting back into it. And the Rockies, they could be a scary baseball team. That's how I look at it. I think the Nationals will take a step back. The Rockies will take a step forward. 773-966-2494. Do you think the Cubs are going to miss the playoffs? Please say no. Come on now. I will laugh you right off the phone line. I promise you. Or Brian Noe can do that when he joins us at 8:40. And with that, we go back to... So we go with the Cubs and the Bulls here, but I want to just talk briefly, really quickly about the Deshaun Watson. I just... can't get over it. Michael Jordan, really? Hasn't played a down of football. And all I keep seeing is Robert Griffin III. And he's going to get an ego like Robert Griffin III if this keeps up. But every time I watch him, I look at it and I'm like, he's a good deep ball thrower. He's a good scrambler. But his short passing mechanics, no bueno. And he has no pocket presence. Prove me wrong. I like to be proved wrong. I mean, geez. Here, I'll do it one more time. Round of applause for the Falcons beating the Packers. I'll give you all the credit in the world.
Are you going to get over that or not? Huh?
Of course I'm going to get over it.
Now, look, let me say something.
No, listen to me. What I am doing is giving you credit for the win. That's what I'm saying. I'm not giving. I don't care about my Packers right now. We're done until September, okay? We're done until the draft on April 27th, all right? We're done until March for the free agency, okay? I hope that they do some free agency moves. Uh-huh. So we'll find out here. I thought it was a good season for the Packers, so moving on there. But I'm excited for the Super Bowl. I'm not going to lie to you. I am excited. I think this will be a really fun Super Bowl. Because of the awful season we've had in the NFL, this is exactly what they need. Roger Goodell is begging and pleading that this happens well for them. 773-966-2494. Coming up, and Al Mack knows this, and I know this because I'm very excited to be doing this. Our best and worst boxing films. Now, you can go right now to Twitter, and you can tweet me at @JTurnerShow, and you can tell me your best and worst boxing film of all time. There's so many to get into here. We're going to have some fun here in our second hour here on Turner ChiTown. This is Al Mack. I'm Jake Turner, and you're listening to it right here on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com.
Tired of all that coffee shop sports talk? No problem, because you're tuned in to the best sports take in Chicago. Let's rejoin the passionate Jay Turner and Al Mack on ChicagoSportsRadio.com.
Oh, yeah, 24/7 passion, as always, here on Turner ChiTown, 773-966-2494. Brian Noe at 8:40 from Broussard and Noe on Saturdays on Fox Sports Radio will be joining us. We're going to talk about the NFL championship games, and then we're also going to get into our first ever pre-Super Bowl preview. Don't miss next week, though. We got a jam-packed show for you. Super Bowl coverage like no other here on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. But, Al, you know something? We're big enthusiasts here of this sport, and we know that MMA is like the big talk. I mean, I did watch UFC during the Christmas season, and I always go back to this one because we talk about our best and worst sports films. And I thought about, there's one subgenre in sports films that nobody talks about as much anymore. So you were a former boxer. I currently am at a boxing gym, and we give each other tips and we listen and all that stuff. But one thing we know is we love boxing. And I think to get into this, it's time to tell you out there the best and worst boxing films in the opinion of myself and Al Mack. Of course, let's get that music going. Ah, yes, there we go. Perfect. All right, Al, you're the former boxer. I want you to tell me what your favorite boxing film is.
Okay, when it comes to film and entertainment, the entertainment world of boxing, let's go with Rocky as number one for entertainment.
Rocky. Okay.
And how about Raging Bull? That raised a lot of eyebrows at its time. Now, Hands of Stone, I didn't like.
Okay, that was that one with Clifton Collins and Robert De Niro, correct?
No. Hands of Stone was about Roberto Duran.
That was the movie with De Niro and Clifton Collins.
Was De Niro in that?
Yes, he was. He was the boxing trainer.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you about that one later. But let's get on to Southpaw. Southpaw, I love that one.
Great film.
Because it had emotion, it had content, and it had a real fighter out there. These guys were doing real boxing moves. That's the only film besides Creed that I could relate to. Now, going back to Rocky for one time.
Let's keep this also in mind. Kirk Sutter was the screenwriter for Southpaw, who created one of the best shows out there, Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, fantastic.
So that's exactly why it was so realistic in every aspect of that film. I love the realistic dialogue, especially when Rachel McAdams' character is unfortunately killed, but there's so much emotion into that, and Sutter just puts off such a brilliant screenplay. Very underrated boxing film. Go for it.
All right. Okay, now, with the other one, I'm going to say, going back to Rocky.
Okay.
I think Rocky actually hurt boxing. Okay.
Rocky hurt boxing. Okay, how's that?
Well, it made it look a lot worse than it really is. I boxed since I was 11 years old.
Okay. But wouldn't you say that the first and the second one were the most realistic boxing scenes before Rocky 3 and Rocky 4 got a little too carried away, especially Rocky 4?
Well, realistic how?
Realistic in just how everything went down. It was just 5 rounds. It was an exhibition fight between Apollo Creed and Rocky Balboa. In the 76 movie, I felt like it was realistic enough because the punches just they sounded real. And it just felt like it was stripped down. And it was just like Southpaw.
Yeah, for entertainment purposes, yeah. But if you're a boxer, you knew that those weren't real scenes. And they would call a fight before someone would get beat that bad. Okay. I think that scared away a lot of young boxers.
Wow.
By them thinking that you could actually go in a ring and get beat like you stole something without a referee stepping in.
Yeah.
That scared away the young potential fighters because I was in a gym every day. I saw people afraid of boxing because of that Rocky thing, because it was so unrealistic.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
that's my point of view.
No, that's a good point of
That's
view.
Al
It's
Mack's
different.
take on that.
Hey, you're a former boxer.
Now,
I get it.
Now, what made it like that and why he did it, he made money off of the blood. He made money off of the guy that would get up off a canvas and take another beating. But he ruined the hopes and dreams of other fighters that thought that was what boxing was like, because they were just too scared to even go into boxing after that. They chose to pick another sport. So you could call them cowards. They're not cowards. They're kids.
No.
That's where boxing starts. I started at 11 years old, okay?
Yes,
I
you
had
did.
nothing like Rocky to scare me off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I probably wouldn't have got scared anyway. But what's your take, Jake?
I think Rocky is without a doubt one of the best sports films I've ever seen, because it's not about what happens in the ring, it's about what happens out of the ring. The training montages, the great performances between him and Burgess Meredith, those one-on-one conversations. Just, he felt like a real character, and that's what really worked so well in the Rocky films as a whole, except for Rocky V. We'll get into that a little later with our worst picks. But I have to say one movie that was very overrated, in my opinion, and I love Michael Mann and I love Will Smith, but Ali was a hollow shell of Muhammad Ali. Don't get me wrong, I loved Will Smith in the movie, but I felt like we didn't get enough into this movie. This was 2.5 hours, and I just felt like we never got into the bulk of the movie. Yeah, we saw the Sonny Liston fight by Jamie Foxx, but we never saw George Foreman. We never saw Joe Frazier. We never saw those fights. That's what I wanted. They focused way too much on the personal life than more on that. So I find that as a very overrated boxing film. One of my favorite boxing films of all time is, without question, Diggstown. Have you ever seen Diggstown? Louis Gossett Jr. And James Woods. He has to fight 10 fighters in this small town. And I loved it because Louis Gossett Jr. in this movie is in his 50s. And he looks like he's in his 50s. And he's boxing like he's in his 50s. But that heart right there was there. And it was also very funny at times and very dramatic. But that's a very good boxing film, too. I'd have to say Southpaw. I loved Southpaw. I couldn't get enough of that movie. Jake Gyllenhaal, it was like a real-life Rocky. That's what I really loved about it. And then The Fighter, directed by David O. Russell, great movie. But I felt like in that film that Christian Bale was outperforming Mark Wahlberg in that, and it kind of took away what they were trying to accomplish. Still a great film, though. Still a great film, because Christian Bale in that movie is phenomenal. Another boxing film, I'd have to say, The Champ. This is a very mediocre movie, but John Voight and Ricky Schroeder in that, their chemistry as father and son, they're so good together that you continue to cheer on this guy, cheer him on more and more and more and more and more. And like I said, here's another one too, and I know you're going to look at me and go, oh, come on, that was so fake and so ridiculous. Rocky Balboa, the sixth one. This made up for the awfulness that was Rocky V, which we'll get into later. This was pretty much Rocky going back to his roots. This was written very well. It pretty much embodied Rocky once again, getting back into the ring one last time. And I get it, he was 60 years old in the movie, but you can't lie and get up off your feet and start cheering. Because that's what I felt like every time I watched Rocky Balboa. And the best boxing films, they get you to tear up. They definitely get you to tear up. So when you get a great boxing film like that, you know that you're in for one heck of a treat here. That's a good one, too. Also, very underrated film, Jim Braddock, Cinderella Man, directed by Ron Howard, Russell Crowe. Paul Giamatti is awesome in that movie.
Big time. I forgot that one, Jake.
That's because everybody forgot about it.
Yeah.
Everybody forgot about it.
That was awesome.
Cinderella Man is an excellent, excellent movie that, nobody talks about anymore, which is kind of sad because it's one of Russell Crowe's best films, in my opinion. That bear in mind, you know what else I like that's in my opinion? Mm-hmm. The Chicagoland Sports Radio Update. You ready, Al?
I'm ready, Jake.
All right, here's Al Mack with the Chicagoland Sports Radio.com update. Never burn it down here on Turner ChiTown, 773-966-2494 here on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. He's Al Mack. I'm Jake Turner. We're talking best and worst boxing films, so I guess we'll have to get to the worst ones a little bit later here. But I want to bring up a TV show just really quickly here, really quickly. Could you honestly say that The Contender, when it was on NBC, was a great show that showed realistic boxing? Would you agree on that?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so Ishii Smith, Anthony Bosante, I loved that show. I love that show because that is what motivated me to get into boxing. I'm not going to lie to you. I was a boxer for about 6 months when I was in college, but school kept getting in the way, and I was kind of a narrow-minded fool back then. But the fact of the matter is that I love boxing, and I can't wait to talk more movies here with you, especially getting into the worst boxing films. And there are some really, really bad ones. And I know that you're probably thinking about a couple here. I won't tell you, though, Grudge Match is definitely not on the list. Grudge Match is an okay movie. It was fun with Stallone. It was fun with De Niro. Enough said right there. It was just a okay movie, you know, a couple of good laughs, some good boxing scenes, and enough said right there. But now, coming up, waiting for it, he's making a repeat performance here on our show. We're going to be talking some Super Bowl and NFL championships with Brian Noe, Broussard and Noe on Fox Sports Radio. He's going to be joining us coming up next. You're listening to Turner ChiTown on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. It doesn't get any better than that with a little NFL primetime music here. We're back here on Turner ChiTown, 773-966-2494. We'll get to your phone calls just a bit later. Joining us right now on the line is, of course, a very good friend of mine, and it is, of course, Brian Noe of the Broussard and Noe Show, and that is on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Fox Sports Radio. Brian, how you doing tonight, my friend?
Good, man. How you doing, Jake?
I'm doing really good, man. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule, man. How's things going for you?
Oh, I'm fine, man. I can't complain.
Well, of course you can't. Were you at another basketball game last night?
Yeah, I went to the Notre Dame game. Notre Dame was hosting Virginia and forgot how to make baskets in the second half.
Oh, jeez, that's a bummer there. So let's break this down here first off. What was your thoughts on the NFL championship games this past weekend?
Well, it was blowout city in both of them, you know. Just had Atlanta's offense was just too much to contain, and the Packers were the walking wounded. And then
Yes.
it was a little bit of the same thing, not in terms of how many players that the Steelers lost, but losing Le'Veon Bell was a huge loss. And going into Foxborough, that's tough. So if you told me that Le'Veon Bell was only going to play sparingly through the first half, I wouldn't have been shocked that the Patriots won by as much as they did.
Yeah, no kidding. Tell me about that. That defense definitely was revealed as a fraud as well. But what team do you think was worse off after their losses, the Green Bay Packers or the Pittsburgh Steelers?
The team who was worse off?
Yeah, who looked worse after the championship?
It's hard to say just because the Packers had the worst loss in terms of, the point differential, but it's explainable. It's just one of those where when you lose that many players, when you lose that much talent, it's going to be hard to go on the road and beat a team like Atlanta who's playing that well offensively. So I didn't go away from either championship game saying, oh, man, the Packers are just a joke. They're a farce. I looked at it and said, they were the walking wounded. I even tweeted out that saying that they're the walking wounded is a disservice to the phrase walking wounded. Like, that's how banged up they were. So
yeah, you're absolutely
I didn't look
right.
at either team being at full strength and them just getting pummeled.
Yeah, the thing is with that, they're going to be making some changes here coming up. They're going to take their time here, but, Ian Rappaport about a couple weeks ago, reported that, Ted Thompson's going to step down, and Elliott Wolf, the son of Ron Wolf, is going to be taking over. So that's got to be really good for Packer fans, coming up here. But with the Steelers, I mean, what was going through your head here when Antonio Brown decided to bring out that Facebook Live post?
It was just a stupid move. It's like what Mike Tomlin said. It was selfish. It was a silly move to make where it's not the end of the world. It's not anything that's going to keep him away from the Steelers going forward. It's not anything where he was going to get suspended for the entire game or anything like that.
That wasn't
it. It was just a dumb move because you had to know, if you had any type of foresight whatsoever, you had to know that that wasn't going to fly and it was going to be this big deal. Even though it really isn't the end of the world in terms of what he did. It's not smart to, one, not pay attention to your coach while he's giving you a talk and then posting it live. You had to know that it's just not going to work. So it was just a silly idea. I said, for anybody saying that it was nothing whatsoever, if the Steelers were able to beat the Patriots, would it have been a good idea for him to do this? Of course not. It's just not wise. You don't want to manufacture your own distraction. And when you're talking about it and you're answering questions during the week instead of looking forward to the Patriots, it's just not a good look. You don't want to create anything that your team has to deal with, and he did that. It was just stupid.
We're talking to Brian Noe of the Broussard and Noe show on Fox Sports Radio Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, jumping into this here for a moment, because this unfortunately came out here. When are the Cincinnati Bengals going to tell Pac-Man Jones to get lost?
Man, I don't know. But this is nothing new. He's had these run-ins over and over and over again. It's not like this was his first one.
Yeah.
And he can still play ball. Maybe when he stops being able to contribute on the field, they'll finally tell him to get lost. But as long as he can play and can contribute, it seems like the Bengals are okay with him being wild off the field. So I understand where you're coming from. At some point, you would think an organization would say enough's enough. It's not like he's playing at an all-pro level. But the way they look at it, they say he's still productive, he's still contributing, and we don't have someone to take his spot. So they just look the other way and sweep it under the rug.
The Cincinnati Bengals are just... They're the butt of every joke that I can think of when it comes to an NFL team. It's pretty sickening that this just continues on and on here. But now jumping to this, I mean, in your opinion, has this been a good NFL season? Could the Super Bowl save this NFL season, or are people going to be remembering this for quite some time?
I think the Super Bowl could save it. It's a great matchup, but it's been a down year. There's no doubt about it. I'm an absolute NFL junkie. I get the scratch. I start scratching myself if I'm not in a sports bar every Sunday watching ball. But all you've been hearing this year is how the ratings are down and blah, blah, blah. I think that you have to keep in mind what you're comparing the NFL to. You're comparing the NFL in 2016 to the NFL in 2015. It's not like you're comparing it to another major sport where their ratings are just trouncing everybody else's. So it's still in a very healthy place, but that's just been the normal vibe throughout the season, is that ratings are down and Thursday night games aren't that good. And then we got to the playoffs. We've only had a couple of good playoff games. The Packers and Cowboys, that game was off the charts. Mm-hmm. And the Steelers and Chiefs, that was a good game. That's it. So we've had, how many? 10 playoff games and 2 have been good. That's not a good average. So they're at a 20% clip right now for good games. So I think a Super Bowl could go a long way with how this season is ultimately remembered, but it's going to have to be an unbelievable game for people mostly not to walk away saying it was a bit of a down year. You can say it was a bit of a down year without blowing out of proportion, and I'd be fine with that.
Absolutely. I think that's a very good point. I mean, I have said that the NFL season has been pretty awful compared to the past years with that. But in your opinion, what do you think was the bigger problem? The Colin Kaepernick kneel downs, or the horrible officiating that was led by the Vice President of Officiating, Dean Blandino?
I think it's I really do think it was the election. I think that was the main reason. There's obviously a multitude of reasons, but to me, the main reason was the election. When the debates are going on and they're drawing just monster ratings, and they're going head-to-head with NFL primetime games, it matters. It makes a big difference. The ratings have dipped every single year there's been an election.
Yeah.
So to look and make it about everything else and put that to the side, to me, is crazy. I think that had the biggest factor. And then there are a lot of other smaller factors that snowballed and contributed, and the ratings were down. But some of these theories where it's just oversaturation, I don't even know if that's the correct word, but
no, that's correct. And it's kind of
theory
bush
that
league.
we are oversaturated with NFL games.
Please.
It's too much. It's on Thursday. It's on Monday. That's ridiculous. It wasn't the first year we've had Thursday night football
Or Sunday night football.
If this was the first year and the ratings were down, maybe there's something to it. But we've had it for a number of years, and it just coincidentally happened in an election year. I think that had way more to do with the problem than anything else.
That's a very good take right there. I mean, I absolutely agree, because I loved it how some of the media elite today was talking about how, Sunday night football, it's just too much. It's just too much. Newsflash. Do we not remember the days of Mike Patrick, Joe Theismann, Paul McGuire? Hello, Sunday night NFL after NFL primetime on ESPN. This is not a new thing. This is definitely not a new thing. It's just because the games have been lousy this year. I mean, that's pretty much how I look at it.
Yeah, overall, the quality dipped a little bit. And I think my theory has been for a while is that the past influences the present.
Yes.
Where some of the teams that were better this season, there were a lot of fans that really didn't buy in fully because they haven't had a great history. Case in point, think about the Atlanta Falcons, who haven't done much in their team's history. They've gotten to one Super Bowl before getting to this most recent one. But they went 11-5, and it wasn't like fans were gravitating toward them and saying, look out for the Falcons, they're going to get to the Super Bowl, they're going to win the Super Bowl. And the recent history was a big reason why they said that. And if you look on the other side, the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle, the reason that a lot of fans thought that they could do something this year is because of previous season. And they were so overvalued this season, it wasn't even funny. It's not 2013 anymore. It's 2016, and they had a bad offensive line, and they lost Earl Thomas. They weren't going anywhere. But the point is that recent success, or lack thereof, is how a lot of these teams are thought of currently. So when you had some of these teams that got good this season, but have been bad over the last 5 or 10 seasons, there was a lack of fan support really embracing them and taking them as serious contenders. And it seemed like the good teams weren't as good because of that.
Absolutely. I mean, Seattle was about as scary as a bag full of kittens, in my opinion, on that. Now, jumping to the Super Bowl here, how do the Falcons stop Tom Brady?
Pray. I'd say pray a lot. But no, I look at that Falcons defense, and they did a really good job against the Packers. I was impressed by them. And you know that their calling card isn't their defense. But if they're able to fly around and make as many plays against the Patriots as they did against the Packers, they've got a really good shot. But it's easier said than done. We know the Patriots are so good at game planning. And look at what they did against the Steelers. They just spread everybody out wide, and they let Tom Brady go to work. And they've got a very good offensive line. If you're giving Tom Brady a lot of time, he's going to pick you apart. So it's all about Vic Beasley. It's all about Dwight Freeney. Like any quarterback, you got to put heat on him. You got to make him uncomfortable, hit him around. And like Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan until they get smacked in the mouth. So you punch him in the mouth, Tom Brady's going to be deadly. So you got to bring pressure if you're not able to get there with your front four. But if Vic Beasley and Dwight Freeney can get there, Brooks Reed can get there, they've got a really good shot. But if they're not getting pressure on Brady, it's going to be a long day for the Falcons defense.
Without question, I think this could be a high-scoring affair. I think that's the only way the Falcons will win. If this is like a 21-20 game, the Patriots are going to win. They just know the kind of planning that they are capable of offensively and defensively. And Matt Patricia's defense, everybody keeps talking about how this defense is underrated, this defense is underrated. The most underrated defense in the NFL this year was the New England Patriots. Plain and simple. I mean, these guys, they aren't playing with the best football players ever, but they're playing in a system that works with Matt Patricia, and that's what makes them so good. But before you go here, I want to know what your Super Bowl prediction is. Are you going to go bold with the Falcons? Or are you going to stick with the Patriots and their dynasty?
I'm going to go with the Patriots, and it's not just because of their history. I think you got to put that to the side to a large degree. I wouldn't say all the way, but to a large degree, it's about this season. It's not about them having 4 Super Bowl rings heading in. But I just think that Bill Belichick's going to come up with a plan. I think they're going to find a way to limit Julio Jones and make everybody else beat them when the Falcons have the football. And when the Patriots have the ball, I would put my money on the Patriots' offensive line to give Tom Brady time. And if they're able to give him time, he's going to pick him apart. So it's not just about them going for their 5th ring and the Falcons not having one. I think that you could get away from the here and now with that in mind. Like, take the college football playoff championship game, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
You could have fallen in love with Alabama, and so they're going for their 5th ring in 8 years. We know the pedigree. We know the history. We know all of that. But Clemson presented a lot of problems for that team just a month ago, right? Or within the same month. So don't fall in love with the history. Keep that in mind to a degree. That's fine. Experience matters. But right here, right now, just based on the 2016 season heading into the Super Bowl, I feel like the Patriots more.
Brian, excellent stuff, my friend. I mean, talking about it, you're always sticking to the present. You're always going for the bright future, and you're just saying to heck with the past. Great stuff as always, Brian. You can always catch him on Broussard and Noe show on Fox Sports Radio, Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Enjoy the Super Bowl week, my friend, and we'll talk soon.
All right, man. You have a good night. I'll see you.
All right. That was Brian Noe, and once again, fantastic stuff. Make sure you get on the line, 773-966-2494. We're jumping into the final hour here. We got to talk some Pro Bowl, and we're going to get into our worst boxing films. So the final hour at Turner's ChiTown, just as passionate as the last two. It's coming right at you next. He's Al Mack. I'm Jake Turner, and you're listening to it right here on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com.
You've been listening to Turner's ChiTown, the best sports take in Chicago on ChicagoSportsRadio.com. From State Street, deep in the heart of downtown Chicago, it's Turner's ChiTown on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. So take the exit to the best sports take with the biggest guest and the wittiest banner in the city of Chicago. And now, laced with 24/7 passion, here's Jake Turner and Al Mack.
Final hour. Turner ChiTown here on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. He's Al Mack. I'm Jake Turner. Wonderful 2 hours in the books here. I want to give a brief shout-out and a thank you to Brian Noe of the Broussard and Noe show on Fox Sports Radio, Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So catch that on your dial here. Great stuff on him talking Super Bowl, the status of the NFL season. I really liked his take because he decided to stay away from the past, which is something I do all the time, and he went to the present and then went to the future. He just said, let's stick to the present, let's stick to the future, they'll clean things up. That's a different take, and that's why I like having him on here for our pre-Super Bowl show next week. We got a big Super Bowl show packed with you. Great guests are going to be coming on and everything. It's going to be a lot of fun, so we can't wait for this. Al Mack is really frustrated, though, right now. With about 6:03 to go here in the fourth quarter, the Bulls' lead has been dropped to 6. They are up 97-91. Dwayne Wade with 26 points and Jimmy Butler with 32. Everybody else, Robin Lopez is bombing right now. Paul Zipser is not doing much. Taj Gibson only with 6 points. Boy, oh boy, to be a Bulls fan right now in 2017. That's tough. But with that, now, we talked about the best boxing films. We're going to get into the worst ones as well here. Just want to bring this up here. You know, tomorrow, Al, the skills competition for the Pro Bowl is going to be coming up. The worst thing I've ever seen in sports is that Pro Bowl. Man alive, I hate it. This just came in, though, here from Fox Sports. All right? Fox Sports has said... Fox Sports has brought out the competitions. Now, this is going to be Thursday night at 7 o'clock. It's going to involve dodgeball, a power relay, precision passing, a best hands competition, and then on Tuesday, the league added another one, and it's called the drone drop. Wait, what? Now, this is exactly what it is. A drone holding a football is going to fly into the air and drop the ball to a receiver far down below. What? Hold it. I like skills competitions. But a drone drop? Wait, what the? What in the... You know what? I quit. I'm done. I'm getting up. I'm done. Al, you can do the rest of the show. No, I'm just kidding. Hang on a second. I'm just kidding. I had to come back here, because, hey, this is what I do here on Chicago at sportsradio.com. But a drone drop? Really, NFL? What bar did you figure this one out of? Seriously, were you was one of your executives on their sixth drink of the night and decided, you know what? I want to come up with a drone drop. What kind of stupidity is that? I can't wait to watch the drone drop tomorrow. I mean, the precision passing, okay, fine. The power relay, great. Love speed. Best hands competition, man, can't wait to see Odell Beckham Jr. and Des Bryant go against each other in that one. And dodgeball. Okay, I can understand dodgeball. We're going to have a little fun here. I get it. But you do realize that dodgeball was not a true story, but a mockumentary of sporting events. I mean, this seriously feels like something off ESPN 8 The Ocho that the creators of dodgeball ripped apart every second they could. But man alive, I can't believe that is going to happen. But a drone drop, wow. Boy, this is really not helping. I just don't get it. Al, what are you thinking about the drone drop?
Well, you know what? It's just as good as the game itself. They can't hit anybody in the game, so you might as well add a drone drop. Let's teach a chicken to fly long distance and let him drop eggs and let him catch those. That would be nice. I think that'd be a good addition to it. How about you, Jay?
And that would be sponsored by Kentucky Fried Chicken.
No, Purdue Chicken.
Oh, jeez.
Let's not cook them first, okay? No antibiotics in the chicken, and he's going to drop fresh eggs on the receivers. Catch that. And you give bonus points if they don't break them.
I am so glad to see you smiling and laughing again because you have looked absolutely miserable watching this Bulls game.
Oh, yeah, it's terrible.
Well, they're up by 9 now, 4:22 to go in that fourth quarter. 773-966-2494. If you miss any of this show, not to worry. You can find it on speaker.com/user/Jake Turner Show, or you could go to iHeartRadio.com. Yes, we got picked up by iHeartRadio, so you could find that as well. Or you could tweet me at Jake Turner Show or Instagram me at Jake Turner 61. I understand you're going through a tough time here with the Bulls here, but my goodness, you were quiet. Like you were just like very animated. You had your hands up in the air and you're just like, your mouth is like dropping and you're just like, oh, come on.
That was passion, Jake. Passion.
Yes, it was passion, but
that's what we do
here. On the line here.
Right.
Come on. But I understand. I just, the Pro Bowl, oh my goodness, this thing just gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. I mean, I don't know what's worse. That or the amount of Pro Bowl players that have said, nah, I don't want to come. especially like guys like Antonio Brown. But, the good news is, they've had Des Bryant, they got Dak Prescott. I get it. I mean, but the Pro Bowl is just going to suck. I mean, I always give the opportunity. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll watch about 10 minutes and see if this thing gets better. I swear to you, I fall for it every single year. For the first time here on Turner's ChiTown, here on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com, I want you to mark the tape right now. J. Turner will not watch one of the Pro Bowl. I don't care if it is 42-38. I don't care. I want this stupid, pointless football game out of here. Is that English enough for you, folks? The Pro Bowl sucks. It's a joke. It is a comedy. It is unintended. It is seriously like the Triple X of sports. You know that movie Triple X with Vin Diesel? With all brawn, no brains. That's what it feels like with the Pro Bowl. Nothing happens in this game. The last time we saw a big hit was the late Sean Taylor. Who took out a punter. And everybody was like jumping out of their seats going, oh, what a hit. And then after that, it's like, okay, hike. Okay, we're going to sit back here. All right, hey, Odell, catch. And it's like that scene in it's like a Bugs Bunny cartoon. I got it. Oof. Or they just like sit back and go, hey, can I just push off of you for a second? Yay, I got a touchdown. Woohoo. I get to spike the football and look like an idiot.
Wow.
Goodness gracious, this Pro Bowl just has to die.
Why don't they just make it a flag football game?
Why don't they just pay the players? You got the Pro Bowl. It's in your Hall of Fame resume. Enough said. Or the hell with it. Let's get people out of the crowd. Let's get celebrities out there. You know what? You're so high and mighty and you want to get something back. Bring the celebrities out like they do for the All-Star game for Major League Baseball. Put some celebrities in there. I want to see Taylor Swift, Justin Bieber. I want to see all of these Kardashians, and I want to see pads on them, helmets, and I want to see them beat the hell out of each other. Is that too much to ask?
I say
it would be epic. Come on. You know it would be epic.
Make it the 17th game of the season instead of that.
No. Stop it. Just stop. It's bad enough they moved it from Hawaii to Orlando. Oh, yay, Disney World. And this is brought to you by, hang on a second, this is very interesting. Let's see here. Oh, the Mouse House itself. Oh, ESPN, which is a subsidy of ABC Sports.
Wow.
What a shock that they're going to Orlando. What a shock that they're going to be promoting Disney World by the minute. What a shame that they're going to do Beauty and the Beast trailers till the cows come home. Maybe they might even find a teaser trailer for Toy Story 4. Why not? Jeez, enough is enough with this stupid Pro Bowl. And it's not going to help things, going from Hawaii to Orlando. Well, let's see here. Let's go from one of the most beautiful states in America. And now let's go to Family Land. Let's go to Orlando. Oh, yes, you guys could catch a Magic game if you want to. Jeez. 773-966-2494. I know, I've had a couple of rants here today, but you know what? I don't care. I want this Pro Bowl to die. I am seriously tired of it. You know what? For the heck of it, if you kill the Pro Bowl, I'll set up the funeral. I'll even get the wake ready. I'll get the funeral arrangements set up. I'll even get out a priest. I don't care. I'll even try to the point. I'll even cater it. I don't care. Just kill the Pro Bowl. It sucks. Enough said. Al, you good over there?
Yeah, I think you made your point, Jake. You really you don't like the Pro Bowl. I can see that. Yeah, that's not good for you, huh?
No, it's not. Okay, I'm actually more excited for the NBA All-Star Game. The funniest thing about the All-Star Game and the slam dunk contest is it's actually improving. Is they actually made moves to make the All-Star Game fun. It's fun. It's fun to actually, you don't need defense. You just want to see guys like Kevin Durant slamming it down and getting the crowd up off their feet. Or you want to see Stephen Curry make a three. Or you want to see LeBron James slam it down right in front of Stephen Curry's face or something. Just make it fun. And the Pro Bowl is not fun. It's boring. It's boring. It's like a bunch of tortoises going across the field. Okay, hike. And they're moving very slowly. Very slowly. What a joke. Speaking about that, we don't go slow here on Turner's ChiTown. In fact, coming up, we did our best boxing films. We're going to do our worst. That's all coming up next. He's Al Mack. I'm Jay Turner, and this is Turner's ChiTown on Chicagoland Sports Radio.com.
Tired of all that coffee shop sports talk? No problem, because you're tuned in to the best sports take in Chicago. Let's rejoin the passionate Jay Turner and Al Mack on ChicagoSportsRadio.com.
Oh, yes, of course, we are going to definitely do that. 773-966-2494. We're back here on Turner's ChiTown. He's Al Mack, I'm Jay Turner, and I can't believe this is about to happen here. The Bulls have blown another lead, and with 10.5 seconds left to go here, the Atlanta Hawks are up 116-112. Now make that 117. And once again, it's just the same old Bulls. I mean, they're 14-9 at home. I mean, that's the really saddest thing about this. But you know what? They had this lead. They were up by 9. They were up by 10. This game was done. And then, of course, they let guys like Dwight Howard get back in this game. Dennis Schroeder with 23 points and Cephalosha with 16. And now Fred Hoiberg's going to pretend to coach here for a moment. Al Mack just shaking his head. He is not very pleased right now. So let's see if we could try and get a little smile on his face, maybe with some of our worst boxing films of all time here. And I don't mean to be negative, but I'm going to be funny about it. I just need to see a smile out of Al Mack's face. Now, come on, Al, give me a smile. You know this. This is the Bulls. We know what they're all about here.
You got it, Jake. You got it.
Yeah.
Smile.
All right. So let's get into the worst boxing films. Now, before we get into that here, we forgot about a couple of movies. We forgot about Creed, which I thought was a very good film. Sylvester Stallone, to this day, still continues to get screwed for that Oscar. The Hurricane with Denzel Washington, based on the true story of Reuben Hurricane Carter, who was wrongly imprisoned for murder. Absolutely love that film. One of the best boxing films I've ever seen that, not many people talk about. It's like Cinderella Man as well. But he was nominated for Best Actor with the Oscars. Some of the bad films here, a lot of people talk about oh, Datestown's not good, Jake. Yes, it is. It's good because it's funny and it's also very realistic and it's also very action-packed at the same time. I mean, that's very tough to find. But I was so insulted by the Great White Hype. This movie annoyed the hell out of me because this movie, I swear to you, try to be this great satire on boxing promotion. I mean, Samuel L. Jackson, this is very sad, too, because, Samuel L. Jackson's in it, Jeff Goldblum, Peter Berg, Damon Wayans. Peter Berg plays the boxer. Peter Berg's a director of great films like Patriots Day and Deepwater Horizon and Friday Night Lights. And this movie just goes nowhere. And it's a lot of blame to the director because it's so sloppily made. Even though Samuel L. Jackson is a hoot as the boxing promoter, I thought that was very funny. And they decided to, switch the races as well. I thought that was very amusing. However, this movie is just so stupid sometimes to the point where you're just like, you know what? I don't care. And speaking about that, the final score, I hate to break this to you, Bulls fans, I'm sorry, but the Atlanta Hawks knocked out the Chicago Bulls, 119-114, and bet the Bulls go down below 500. Way to go, Fred Hoiberg. Wow. Anyway, back to the worst boxing films of all time here. Definitely one for me here. It was Play It to the Bone. This was directed by Ron Shelton, who did Bull Durham, and it had a great cast. It had Woody Harrelson and Antonio Banderas. They play rivals, best friends, and they're driving out to Vegas to put out this fight. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. The only time we see these two fight is the last 20 minutes of this movie. Otherwise, we're in a bargain basement version of a road trip that doesn't make you laugh, that doesn't make you smile, and it just goes on and on and on and on. And this movie is 2 hours and 19 minutes. So you're trying to tell me that at the 2-hour mark, then I get some boxing, even though it's about boxers. And there's no boxing until the last 20 minutes of this movie. What a joke. Even though Harrelson and Banderas have a good chemistry, this movie is just DOA. Very big disappointment for me. I mean, have you ever seen Play It to the Bone, Al?
No.
All right. Let's go, of course, to the worst boxing film of all time, and that is Rocky V. Actually, no, that's number 2. Rocky V is just an abomination. It's sad that Sylvester Stallone decided to cast his own son, who was not very good in this movie. Tommy Morrison, God rest his soul, was the trainee that Rocky was going to train. However, this movie is so corny. It is so corny and sitcom-ish and ridiculous. There's only one good part in this movie, and actually there's 2 parts. And it was when the ghost of Mickey comes alive with Burgess Meredith in the ring. That was a very good sentimental moment. And the ending fight, because it felt like Rocky. However, it was in a street. It was in an alleyway, and it just didn't make any sense, and they make him brain damaged, and it's depressing, and then we throw Elton John's theme at the end of the movie, and it just didn't feel like a Rocky movie. It just felt like a cash grabber, and it was just an awful, 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 awful movie. But nothing is ever going to compare to the worst boxing film I've ever seen, the most generically, horribly acted that killed somebody's career, and I'm talking about Against the Ropes. Against the Ropes with Meg Ryan and Omar Epps. My goodness, this could have just been a reality show, just for the heck of it. This is the fictional story of Jackie Callan, the boxing promoter, the first female boxing promoter, and they put her in this by-the-numbers dreck. Meg Ryan is amazingly miscasted as Jackie. She brings nothing to the table. Omar Epps is generic. He's not given anything to do. This movie is just dead on arrival. It just makes it just goes through the motions. There's no twists. There's no turns. It's just like, hi, I'm Jackie Callan. I'm the female boxing promoter. Okay, here's a fight real quick. Oh, wait, we got to go do some negotiations. Oh, wait, Meg Ryan now has to go talk down to the boxing promoters. Are you kidding me? My goodness, this movie is the most miscasted, slow, generic, horribly acted boxing movie of all time, and that is, of course, Against the Ropes. And no thanks also to the director of this dreck, which was Charles S. Dutton, and that's very sad to say, because Charles S. Dutton is a very respected actor. But like I said, this is just a generic movie where you could pretty much put a clicker out and you could go, okay, cliche number 1, number 2, number 3, 4, 5, 6. At the end, you'll be like at 50. So that's the worst boxing films, in my opinion. What's your thoughts there, Al?
Well, you just about summed it up there, Jake. That's when you hit Against the Ropes there, as nothing can follow that. As being the worst, that's the pinnacle of being bad. Against the Ropes. It's
just, man alive, when it's just so bland. And it's just by the numbers. And, yeah, it's just an awful boxing movie. I know a lot of people want to rip on Grudge Match, but like I said, I thought that was fine.
Did people have to pay to see that?
Yes.
Wow.
The people that decided to fork out about $10, yeah, I had to sit through that, even though it was a big bomb at the box office, thank goodness. But for whoever had to sit through it, including yours truly, I didn't see it in the theater. I watched it on Showtime, so I got to see it for free on a free preview, and I wish I didn't even look at 1 minute of it, but I did, and yeah, that's pretty much the worst boxing film I've ever seen was Against the Ropes. Man, I hate that movie.
I think that was even refunded on bootleg CDs. All right, moving right along.
What do you think about Rocky V?
Let me go gag first. I threw up a little bit in my mouth there. All right, that's
all right. You've had a really rough night because, we're big Bulls fans here. God, I can't believe they blew this game again. But, all right, you know what? We're going to give you some hope here. Get a smile on your face because here's your ChicagolandSportsRadio.com updates.
Chicagoland Sports Radio Sports Update.
At 9:30, I'm Al Mack with your Chicagoland SportsRadio.com update, brought to you by the Illinois Media School. For more information on careers in broadcasting, go to beonair.com. All righty, the Bulls just lost a heartbreaker, 119-114, after leading the entire game just about. They found a way to lose it. On the Chicago Blackhawks, they're hanging on to a tight. They're hanging on tight with a second spot in the Western Conference within the Central Division. However, the Tampa Bay Lightning hammered them 5-2, ending their three-game winning streak. Jonathan Toews and Duncan Keith each had a goal. Next up are the Jets, Thursday night at 7:30 at the United Center. Another play-by-play legend is calling it a career at the end of the month. 77-year-old Brett Musburger is moving on. He was part of many historical sports events with CBS, ABC Sports, and ESPN, including many college football BCS games. Brent Musburger's last broadcast is January 31st with Kentucky Georgia men's basketball at Rupp Arena on ESPN. Bears fans, listen up. Clemson head coach Dabo Swinney is telling NFL teams what happens if they pass on Deshaun Watson. At the first day of the Senior Bowl practices, Swinney said, "I'm telling you, if they pass on Deshaun Watson, they're passing on Michael Jordan." Okay, Watson declined an invitation to the Senior Bowl. The NFL draft is Thursday, April 27th. This update also brought to you by UIC Men's Basketball. The next broadcast on CSR will be on January 27th when the Flames take on Northern Kentucky at 7 p.m. For more details, visit uicflames.com. I'm Al Mack, and you're listening to Chicagoland SportsRadio.com. It's not just sports, it's a way of life.
Are we crazy to like the Bulls? Yes, of course we are. We're back here on Turner ChiTown, 773-966-2494. Are we crazy? Is the woman that Steven Tyler is talking about, is it the front office of the Bulls? Maybe it is. My goodness, they lost this game 119-114. But at least Al Mack is smiling. I don't know, maybe it was because of the worst boxing films that I put out. There was a couple of movies, though, that I have not seen yet, but I really want to. However, I forgot about a great one. That won Best Picture, and that was $1 Million Baby with Morgan Freeman, Clint Eastwood, Hilary Swank. A fantastic movie. I also forgot about Snatch with Brad Pitt and Jason Statham, and that was the sequel to Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. That's a great one, too. I own that movie. But there are films that I have not seen. I have not seen The Power of One, which was directed by John G. Avildsen, has Stephen Dorff in it. I have not seen The Great White Hope with James Earl Jones. That's directed by Martin Ritt. So that's one I have to definitely see. And then there was this one here I'd never heard of before. It was made back in 1988, and it was called Homeboy. And it is starring Mickey Rourke and Christopher Walken. So that's a couple of films I'm going to have to take a look at here. But if you got any comments or concerns on your best and worst boxing films, you can go to Speaker.com/user/Jake Turner Show, or you can sound off on iHeartRadio. Just comment and give you your best and worst boxing films of all time. You've heard mine. I'd like to hear yours. But coming up, We're wrapping up the show here. What is Al Mack doing this weekend? What am I doing this weekend? What are the Bulls doing this weekend excepting lose? I don't know. We'll find out next. This is Turner ChiTown on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. You're asking for a Bulls front office. We're back here on Turner ChiTown, 773-966-2494, and this is the 15-minute warning here on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com of Turner ChiTown. What a show it has been today. We taught some Cubs. We dissected into the Pro Bowl, the awful, awful Pro Bowl. The skills competition is going to have a drone drop. Oh, boy. The Bulls, losing another one. Now they have lost 6 of their last 10 games. They are now 23-24. We talked about how maybe the NFL is a little too soft serve when it comes to their players and coaches. So we talked a lot about here today. Al, what have you learned today?
Well, I learned that there are a lot more boxing films out than I thought there were, Jake.
There's a lot of them, actually.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of them, but we got the best ones out of the way, and that's the good thing here. And then, like I said, you haven't seen Grudge Match yet. Take a chance on it. It's fine,
Okay, I'll look at that.
Made me laugh a few times, so I really enjoyed it. And Kevin Hart wasn't like a headache to listen to, so
You left one out. Did you talk about the bleeder at all?
The bleeder. I don't think I talked to... Oh, Bleed for This. The reason I did not talk about that one is because I haven't seen it yet. That's the one with Miles Teller and Aaron Eckhart. Yeah, I want to see that movie really badly, but I just haven't had a chance.
Okay.
Just haven't had a chance here, but yeah, I'd like to see that movie myself here. So.
Well, it's actually another one out called The Bleeder.
The Bleeder. What's The Bleeder?
I haven't the slightest idea. I'd like
research,
to see that
everybody,
one.
research.
Just thought I'd spice things up a little bit there, Jake.
Well, we were spicy enough already.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Come on. I do want to get into this, though. Sports Illustrated reported on Monday, when we first got back to school here, the Sports Reporters has been canceled. I grew up watching the Sports Reporters. I grew up with the late Dick Schaap, the late John Saunders, of course. And, Mike Lupica thought he was doing a good job. William Roden was on there, the late Brian Burwell, Mitch Albom all the time. And, and Bob Ryan, of course, and they're getting rid of it. They're canceling it. They're just like, done. But they are putting out this new Sports Center promo, which I saw and I thought was a disaster. And that was the 6. That's what they're naming the Sports Center with Jamel Hill and Michael Smith. Now, no offense to those two. I just don't believe that this is going to work. The Sports Center 6, it's kind of like a limit when it comes to Michael Smith. I mean, Michael Smith sometimes I just feel like he is very softball-like on his takes. Jamel Hill, she gets us some pretty good takes here and there, but then she goes a little bit too much in the political side, which really gives me a migraine. Because I can't stand it when sports hosts, they go political. We're an escape. That's what sports is all about. And I just don't know if that Sports Center 6 is going to work, because instead of, canceling the Sports Reporters, they're going to put in this thing, and then they give Stephen A. Smith back, and I'm just sitting here and I'm like, man alive, what's next? And then Mike and Mike are breaking up. That's coming up as well. So Mike Greenberg and Mike Golick, what are they going to do next? I have no clue, but I can't believe they got rid of the Sports Reporters. I can't believe it. That was a good 30-minute show that had guys that actually knew what they were talking about, always had facts to their point, good arguments always. It was a good 30 minutes. It actually just made you feel like, hey, the newspaper business isn't dead quite yet. But they canceled it. So, and then Brett Musburger. Oh, man. Vin Scully, retired. Dick Enberg, retired. Now Brett Musburger. My goodness. I just can't take it anymore. So many great legends are, leaving the business. It's great that we still got Al Michaels, but how long is Al Michaels going to be? How long is Bob Costas? I mean, how much longer are we going to be able to enjoy those voices? I mean, and I'm going to pull up something here because Brett Musburger was just such a delight to listen to. He was always very passionate, very funny at times. I mean, oh man, the games with Dan Fouts were awesome. I couldn't stop when it came to that. Those were awesome to listen to. But I think this was the best that he ever had. Take a listen to Brett Musburger doing an intro for the NFL Today back in the 1980s. Nothing better than that.
CBS Sports, the National Football League.
You are looking live at RFK Stadium in Washington, where the Buccaneers are making their first ever visit. Tampa Bay hopes to make some capital of its own as Vinny Testaverde returns after being sidelined with a bruised knee.
That is awesome. That is so awesome. Because he had it. I mean, you could have made T-shirts out of it. You are looking live. He did this every time. And it didn't matter if it was college basketball, college football, NFL, Major League Baseball. It didn't matter. He did it. Every time. I remember the Rose Bowl. Man, when Brett Musburger did the Rose Bowl, he was like, you are looking live here in Pasadena, California, where the Rose Bowl is about to take place. I mean, because it was so loud there, and he was just able to just deliver that. It was just so smooth. You are looking live. And like I said, that was pretty subdued. But, man, when he was in that play-by-play booth, you could just hear that passion come out of his voice. And it's just such a bummer, that Brett Musburger is retiring now. But good for him, 77 years old. I mean, this guy started his career back in 1968 with WBBM radio. And it's kind of funny, isn't it? That's pretty much where legends start. When you have a long sustaining of nearly 50 years of broadcasting, you're doing something right. 773-966-2494. Al, were you a big fan of Brett Musburger?
Yeah, he was one of my favorite sports guys. Him and Bill Frank for the Channel 7. And
wow.
Jim and Brent Musburger on Channel 2. And I used to like that. Also Johnny Morris. So those three, they were three of my favorite. And Brent always will with his lively voice and very alert sports figure in Chicago. Always was right on top of everything when he broadcast, and then his favorite saying, which you just mentioned. So
you are looking live.
So that Brent Musburger is a personality that I'm certainly going to miss there, Jake. No doubt about it.
773-966-2494. What is your take on this? Are you going to miss Brett Musburger? Because his final game is January 31st, and that'll be Kentucky and Georgia at men's basketball game at Rupp Arena on ESPN. Now, keep in mind, this was also home to the big-time game winner 1985, where Brett Musburger was the play-by-play guy. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. And the funniest thing is, too, and I like to get away from sports here and there, but I would be adding an insult if we did not talk about who we lost today. Mary Tyler Moore. I'm 30 years old. And I know people right now are saying, how the heck do you know about Mary Tyler Moore? Well, I had nostalgic parents. And I had TV Land and Nick at Night and everything. And I found a show one night called The Mary Tyler Moore Show. And I was like, oh, what's this? The cast, unbelievable. I mean, you had Betty White. You had Mary Tyler Moore, of course. You had Ed Asner. You had Ted Knight. Ted Knight. When I saw Ted Knight for the first time as that newscaster, I was crying. It was so dang funny. I couldn't stop laughing, and I started getting used to this. And then it's so nice to see. I found out Hulu, so I watched that at night, before I go to bed. You know what? I got Cheers and I got Mary Tyler Moore Show. Yeah, you know what? Because she's a groundbreaker. She's a trailblazer, because she was Dick Van Dyke's wife in the old Dick Van Dyke Show. But it wasn't until she did the Mary Tyler Moore Show where she became a groundbreaker and a trailblazer for independent women, because for the first time, women were not patronized. They were independently secured. They, pretty much had a job. They were working all the time. They made their own money. They didn't depend on men always. And that really worked. But I don't think I will ever forget this performance, though, by Mary Tyler Moore. And that was the heartbreaking Ordinary People in 1980, directed by Robert Redford. That's the film with Timothy Hutton and Donald Sutherland. And, man, that is a phenomenal film, but it's a film that you only watch like once every 5 years because Mary Tyler Moore in that movie is so icy. Like, she just shows no compassion to Timothy Hutton throughout this movie until like the very end. And she was phenomenal in that movie because it just showed like that versatility that she had. And every time that she guest starred on a show or she did a TV movie, man, owned it. She owned it. And it's just a bummer that 2017 has begun like this. We lose the wild pitcher, Yordano Ventura, and Andy Marte. We lose them. But then, we get the first big celebrity loss of 2017. And I'm like, man alive, who's next? But Mary Tyler Moore died today. She was 80 years old. Tough to swallow. Because, like I said, the versatile, groundbreaker, trailblazer, everything. Mary Tyler Moore, you're going to be definitely missed. And I always loved this line that I heard. And that was, her smile could turn the world on. Her smile could turn the world on. That is awesome. She had an amazing smile. But I love that show, and it's really tough. But at least I could say this. Still got Betty White, who just turned 92 years old. I love Betty White. I can't get enough of that. But anyway, that's our show today. Al, what's the one thing that you learned today, aside from the boxing films?
Well, Jake, the Mary Tyler Moore takes it all. I mean, I go way back with her in the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Yep.
She's definitely going to be missed. And
oh, yeah.
She could take a nothing day and suddenly make it seem all worthwhile.
Yes, she could.
And that was it. So long, Mary Tyler Moore. You're going to be missed.
Yep, so long, Mary Tyler Moore. One thing I learned today here is Brian Noe has one heck of a different take on sports, and that's what I really like. He looks at the present, he looks at the future with that, and that's very rare to see, in sports broadcasting nowadays. So that's one thing I definitely learned. And I also learned that my rants can sometimes get way out of hand, especially with the Pro Bowl. But hey, I just hate it. It sucks. Period. And it sucks as bad as a Bulls loss, which we just happened right in our studio here. We just saw it right on our TV. It's like, okay, whatever on that part here. However, like I'm always going to say here, because we are now 1 week into after the transition with the White House, and I'm just going to keep saying this because I'm just sick and tired of all the hate. I'm sick and tired of all the false facts and the alternative facts and all this just nonsense. I'm just sick and tired of it. I'm just going to say this right now. In order for us to become united, we have to come united together. I'm not saying in the White House. I'm not saying that. I'm saying as people that we have to start realizing that, you know what? You get up in the morning, you go to work, you come home, you relax. Be thankful, because I feel like that's what we've gotten away from. Be thankful for what you have in life. Be thankful that you have opportunities, dreams to fulfill. It's not that hard. You just have to go out and give hard work and just do what is necessary and prepare. I mean, pray for the best, prepare for the worst. And you'll love life, because you only get one life. One. I mean, the hate has just got to stop. And I know I'm just one guy, but it only takes one. Then it goes to 2, then to 4, then to 8, etc., etc. That's our show here for Turner ChiTown. Please be safe out there tonight. You are listening to it right here. Next Wednesday, Super Bowl show. Can't wait. So many guests. So much fun we're going to have. I can't wait. He's Al Mack. I'm Jay Turner. This was Turner ChiTown on Chicagoland Sports Radio.com. And as always, just be safe. Talk to you next week on Chicagoland Sports Radio.com.
You've been listening to Turner's ChiTown, the best sports take in Chicago on ChicagoSportsRadio.com.